I started to realize that unless I started to return to a state of truly continuously appreciating the small, subtle spaces and nuances that made up the majority of my life, I would constantly be seeking out another exciting moment. And in a time where we are about to expand our options within the AI community and how the algorithms work with technology, we've already seen the levels of addiction with social media and our phones and technology and the disconnection from nature and ourselves and developing conscious awareness about, finding what we want out in the world that we supplement with our technology. Is that this all really reminds me very clear of how precious and how important this space in between is, between events in our life or happenings within our lives, and how the current technology and the scene of what's happening with AI is that it's vying for those times when we used to be able to be subtle and nuanced and really appreciate nature and small things. When I used to teach yoga, I always used to say, right, and this probably isn't novel, but I always used to say, the answers come, revealings happen in the spaces between the thoughts, in the spaces between the breaths. So rather than putting all the effort and energy into the breath or the thought or the event, right? It seems like we have this high, this dopamine hit, right? I started to really practice myself and realize that there's so much information in these subtle spaces between, right? The breath, the thoughts. You all know it. You all have experienced this, that sometimes you're dying to realize or come to a conclusion about something. And no matter how many thoughts or books you read, sometimes it's just not coming. And it's in that moment where you stop thinking about it, or you just sit back and just focus on something else that, there it is. It reveals up through you. It's not something that you consciously think of like, okay, yeah, that's my solution. There's a difference between thinking a solution and a solution being revealed through you and out. And to me, this is what I perceive in my own system and my own experience as the feminine energy. The space between, where we're not orchestrating and organizing and analyzing, problem solving. It's this space, this room where energy, spirit, God, whatever, it has room to reveal itself to you. And I found for myself along my journey that most likely a high percentage of the time, those times where I wasn't looking, wasn't seeking, relaxing, allowing, permitting feminine energy qualities is when the richest and most simplistic answers, solutions, advices would just reveal subtly with almost no effort. And, we're also in a energy crisis on many different dimensions and personally, just as much as, out within our climate. And we don't really have much to waste anymore, right? And even within ourselves, it feels most effortless is to kind of understand these two different energies and forces and how to recognize when we're radically imbalanced, how to recognize when we get stuck in one of these predominant energies and what that looks like. And as we start to subtly, potentially usurp in unhealthy ways to try to reclaim that balance from the other energy. Becoming aware is really important. And then also choosing, consciously starting to choose, hey, wow, I see I'm really imbalanced. I'm seeking pleasure too much from the AI algorithm and TikTok. And, I'm laughing. I love TikTok because it makes me laugh. You're sacrificing the true laughter that we used to have just in real life, out in nature, real lived life, the experience, right? So another way that I like to, talk about this is these forces of masculine and feminine energy, kind of like the experimenter, the scientist, and then the experience. And the scientist, the scientific method being the kind of masculine component of it, but you lose vision when you're just studying experiments and you fail to just turn your head in the opposite direction and either witness and be with a full experiencer, or even within yourself, to really just permit yourself to let go of that overanalyzation and just fall deep into your experience. And then as you pull out of the experience, you can start to analyze or process appropriately. So this is one thing that I've done with myself. I continue to do with myself. And I feel like this crisis of we have a crisis of both gender and the energy within the world. We have a crisis within men. Really, the crisis is not so much misogyny as it is passivity. And then the crisis in the female is my subtleness and my experience hasn't been witnessed appropriately the way that it's accurately coming forth. And there's this desire to be seen and heard and understood by the feminine principle within the world. And then if she's not getting her needs met, she usurps the masculine and tries to be empowered and tough and righteous and angry and bossy. And, I understand, there's a difference between being bossy and being assertive. But feminine energy also has a real purity and innocence and vulnerability and nature-esque type of experience to it. So I think that a lot of how we've tried to mitigate the female crisis is by just leaning in more towards the passive masculine. I still believe that most females are usurping masculine energy, even though it appears to be we're like making excuses or explaining, right? No, I'm not a boss bitch, I'm assertive. Like, it's still quite masculine. You can be in the female energy and be strong and graceful without the need to control or manipulate. So there's a fine line there when we defend the principle of, oh, I'm being assertive. Well, really, are you? Or is there still some of that energy of that, intrinsic wanting to control or manipulate? So taking a good, hard, honest look at ourselves and seeing where we lie. Kind of in love with this feminine energy that lives in the spaces between the big events, the big happenings, these subtle little moments that happen all day and all night around us at all times. There is always an opportunity to tap in, always an opportunity to reevaluate, recapitulate, reorient, regenerate. It's always there, just not looking, because we've become addicted to dopamine hits, big events, bigness, and we just are losing all of that spirit and miraculous happenings that go on, synchronicities, day in and day out, all the time, right in front of us. It's always so interesting when we go on this process of developing a relationship with our feminine energy. I've heard, it's like we one thing that happens is we become amazed and we feel awe-inspired by synchronicities, right? Oh my gosh, this happened. Look, It's like we're remembering what actually lies within the field 24/7. It's just we've been failing to look in the other direction, right? We're really looking at life very often through this microscopic lens of what's important to us and getting certain needs met. And we're losing that connection with our climate, our ecology, what's going on around us, that presence that's happening all of the time. I fell into this trap after my transplant. It was like all of a sudden I was, looking for highs and then feeling lows and looking for highs and feeling lows. And, you may label or pathologize that however you'd like, but I wasn't settling for a label there. I wanted to do my own scientific method and figure out what's going on here. How can I cultivate more authentic balance within my experience? First, I had to, study what I was doing and try new things, right? I was seeking some sort of balance, not a perfection, but a state where I was able to see when I was going too far in one direction and really having the ability to do my own inner work so I could be honest with myself and say, Stephanie, okay, you're spending too much time on social media, or you're not doing this, or you're whatever, whatever it may be, you're having self-limiting thoughts and that's blocking you from progress, or you're getting too caught up on the bigness of events and you're losing the balance with everything that's given to us in this moment to help us find peace and harmony and purpose and meaning. Like, could you imagine that all of this suffering within the world that we have, and all of this mental health, all the mental health issues we have and all the illness that we have, like, could you imagine that everything we needed to be happy and healthy already exists right in front of us at all times? And we're either not seeing it, we're not choosing it, or we're getting lost. We're getting lost in aspects of ego and big happenings and addictions that pull us out of nature and dump us into a world where there is a constant hit of dopamine without any spirit or understanding or process within that space. So at the end of the day, you could be given everything you want in a perfect manner through an AI algorithm, anything you could ever want. But at the end of the day, are you going to be happy with that? Or are you going to continuously keep seeking the next hit? Or you can consciously choose to monitor and limit your activity in the social media world, on your phone, in the metaverse, and get back into the universe, nature, where spirit lies and resources lie, as of now, in front of us at all times to find peace and balance in those subtle little happenings and spaces that are right in front of us 24 hours a day.